Hi, hello, and welcome back. Welcome to another Onkruid video. I'm sitting here thinking about how in all the videos I've recorded today, I was talking about this great mood of creativity I am in, great intention to create in whatever shape, way, or form felt applicable for me at the moment, and yet I don't press the record button. And that's when it hit me you have this kind of loose script, this summation of ideas written on paper from a couple of days ago. You set out to make a video about it, and yet here you are waiting, not doing anything. And it is exactly because I was but if I record it right now, the lighting's not gonna be great because it's the middle of the night and it's kind of late. I don't know whether my thoughts will be formulated clearly. I don't have any of the background footage that I want to use it. It's gonna be so big of a project. That's all pussy shit. I just need to press the record button and go. What I wanted to make the video about was me having to learn how to think again. I've been inspired lately by a lot of philosophical YouTubers that are philosophy students or philosophers themselves. The main ones are Jared Henderson, truly a lovely bloke, a lovely fella. Talks a lot about philosophy in literature and especially in sci-fi literature, but also about more the classic themes of how to gain knowledge, how to learn, whether you should write in your books or not, which you definitely should according to him and a bunch of other people. And on the other side, Park Notes, also an amazing philosopher, an amazing content creator, mainly because of his insane mustache, like really a mustache that almost excels the confines of just human known beauty. It transcends the realm of possibilities. Additionally, I've been indulging in a whole lot of videos about people creating commonplace books, people creating notebooks, people using notebooks, people advocating to have a less digital and a more analog lifestyle. Stop putting everything into online systems, write it down. Carry a notebook with you at all times to write down thoughts, ideas, concepts, values that you want to invest in, to scribble into, to make little drawings, to sketch. Have a notebook on you at all times. Keep that motherfucking thing on you. And then I'm like, okay, I want to do this, I want to try this, I'll note down my thoughts, I'll try to think clearly, just stemming purely from my own brain without getting too much inspiration from other people. And then it hit me if I want to do that, why not do it exactly about this? Why not write down my thoughts about not knowing how to think anymore? And immediately what came to mind was how can someone forget? How can someone forget how to think? Is it just imposter syndrome telling me that I forgot how to think because I always saw myself as an intellectual, well-spoken individual with creative and nuanced at the same time thoughts that always had something to bring into the conversation? Whereas now it kind of feels like that image of myself is in shambles. How did I forget? Where did I forget? Why did I forget? How to rekindle the flame? Because right now that feeling of imposter syndrome, of not knowing how to think, is just spiraling me into depths, negative spirals into dark depths that kind of make me question my, not sanity, but my intelligence and capacity to be a functioning human in society. By writing down these thoughts and by pouring them or sculpting them into a video, I want to prove to both you, but especially to myself, that I can still think. I have the power to think. My brain has not forsaken me yet. There's something up there that can produce valuable speech. Speech that is warranted to be listened to, that actually has some merit to it. I can think, and therefore I can, right? Shout out to my homie Descartes. I can't make a video about philosophers without mentioning the OG bad joke. Really, some of the stupidest material I have ever, some of the worst material I have ever produced for the Onkruid channel, I think. Another train of thought that came to my mind was I know people can lose their ability to imagine things. A fantasia, apparently. People losing the ability to imagine things. I was like, can people also lose the ability to think maybe clearly? People with manic disorder, people with delusions, people with hallucinations, people with psychotic disorders, people with things like schizophrenia. They lose the ability to think clearly. Can you also just lose the ability to think in general? And that's when I thought, alright, now I'm at a crossroad because I want to look this up. like I just did with the pronunciation of Fantasia. I want to look up whether there is this concept of people losing the ability to think just as a whole, just in general. And I was doubtful, like, am I then still staying true to my goal, to my mission of producing thoughts right out of this old noggin of mine without getting any help? And that's when I realized, shut the fuck up.
Watch your profanity.
Don't be so perfectionistic about this. You can allow yourself to be helped. Be mild to yourself. Nobody knows about every single thing in the world, right? So if you want to look something up, please do. Please allow yourself to learn, right? It's so dumb. And of course, the answer I achieved, yeah, you can lose the ability to think, mostly in dementia, sometimes in amnesia, and in dementia, sometimes also in frontotemporal disorders, where the frontal part of your brain starts to deteriorate. And believe me, those are scary motherfuckers, those disorders. They change you as a person. They change you as a person drastically. I'm sure I'm still a healthy little being. There's maybe some slight overweight in there. Sure, I like eating. Are you gonna shoot me? Are you gonna sue me? Are you gonna arrest me? I like a hamburger. You know what I'm saying? Pizza more than a hamburger, maybe. I digress. I think my brain is still kind of at peak capacity. I think it's still learning because I'm not 25 yet, so it's still developing. I have like 2 more months to cram as much knowledge in there as possible. No, what I'm getting at is my brain is fine. So there's not any dementia going on inside this old cortex here, more up here, I guess. Not in a gray matter, not in a white matter. The axons are still fine, the myelin sheets are fine, the nodes of Ranvier are fine. All the acetylcholine is still functioning up there. My hippocampus, my thalamus, my hypothalamus, my substantia nigra, it is all doing okay. I hope so, at least, fingers crossed, touching wood. So why did I lose the ability to think? And I think the answer is probably in a boomer opinion that is correct, in the sense of like you have kind of learned to get used to getting a whole shitload of information online at the snap of a finger. You have learned to keep a very short attention span, to watch YouTube videos, not that many TikToks, but YouTube videos, to browse content on Instagram, on Reddit. You have learned to put your own capacity of thought to the side because you need it less and less. Why am I worried about it? Well, first of all, my job. I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm trying to become a therapist, a client-centered therapist. I need to think. For things like empathy, for example, I need to be able to take the perspective of another person. And to do that, I need to be able to think. It's a cognitive and affective task. I need to be able to use my brain to do my job. I need to remember whatever the person tells me. I need to bring that up from my long-term memory again to make sure that this person knows I have listened to your story. I need to know. I need to lay connections between different kind of parts of their story to make sure that they can lay those connections and they can understand, for example, why certain patterns keep on repeating themselves. My brain needs to work in order to do that, for sure. One of my hobbies is going to quiz nights, to trivia nights, to pub quizzes and things like that. I need to be able to retrieve information that has been stored up there. I also need to be able to store information up there, but in quiz nights, it's mostly about like retrieving that information. And sometimes it happens that the answer is at the point, the tip of my tongue, and it doesn't come out. My head doesn't serve me with the capacity to retrieve the information. It's one of the most frustrating feelings. I thought, or I think, that it's also part of me kind of forgetting how to think. So with things like this, writing things like this down, producing my own thoughts and trying to structure them in a clear manner, I'm training my brain to do it again. Do it again. And additionally, apart from the job and the hobby in terms of the trivia quizzes, another hobby or another passion of mine is creation. Content creation, but creation in general. And to be creative, you need to be able to think. You need to be able to think outside of the box, to develop new ideas. You need to be able to create new meanings if you want to really be creative. Look at someone like Quantum Boy.
Everything has to be clean. Unusually clean. Everything has to be organized. It has to be perfect.
A YouTuber that really inspires me. He tells stories in his videos. He retrieves information from his memory to tell a story about what happened to him. And it's valuable, it's beautiful, it creates astonishing voiceovers for beautiful outside footage. Bo Miles, his entire person, his entire YouTube channel.
Hey?
So it's been a steady decline in mood, energy, and general life in the last 4 days. I don't think it's the dear old bean's fault. I think it's the other kind of bean's fault. Effects of not having coffee.
His entire personality. The same with Van Neistat. It's based on telling stories. Telling stories in a appealing manner, in a manner that kind of engulfs you, a manner that pulls you into the story and you want to know how it goes, you want to know how it ends, you want to know what happens in between the start and the end. And that can only happen if you're able to think about stories, and that's hard for me, legitimately. So I think that the limits in my own thoughts are also limiting my creativity, which is something I want to avoid for sure. The fourth and final reason is I want to try out this more analog lifestyle, but I don't want to carry around an empty notebook. I want to be able to produce something using my own thoughts, using my capacity of free thought, using my reasoning capabilities.
Pocket notebooks have saved my mind, and it's not much of a life without a mind.
I want to be able to write something down. I want to be able to experience cool things just purely because of my own thoughts. I want to create. I want to create thoughts, create stories, create poems. I want to write something down, and if I can't think, I'm not going to be able to write. How am I going to go about this rediscovery of thought? Practice. Practice. Put in the work, put in the hours. We stay hungry, we devour. Just really put in the time to develop my capacity of thinking again by writing it down, by struggling, by jumping over the hurdles, by rediscovering my love for the English and the Dutch language, rediscovering my love for interesting words, for novel combinations that have never been heard before. Just earlier today, I was thinking about writing a little bit of poetry, and I called toes feet appendixes, and I was like, yeah, that's the Vincent I know, that's the Vincent I miss, and I'm trying to rediscover him through practice. I'm scared to think, and the solution is to think scared, to do it while being fucking scared, while being scared of not being capable of doing what I used to be able to do, but just rediscovering that passion, fighting for it, not letting it slip away, training my brain to be the thinker that I wanted to be again. And it's gonna be a journey that you guys are probably gonna embark upon with me, because every single YouTube video is also in a sense me thinking out loud, but sometimes those YouTube videos are unstructured pieces of shit, and I want to invest into getting the structure into them as well. Use them as my own little philosophy time, as my own little podcast where I just think. Thanks for watching or listening or just soaking it up. However, in whatever way you consume this video, thanks for being here. If you recognize some of the things I'm saying, if you get scared by thinking for yourself your own, if you want to embark on these endeavors with me together, comment, let me know. Any opinion is welcome. The best way, or one of the best ways I think, to have your thoughts stimulated is by other people and their remarks, so anything is welcome. Thanks. Bye bye.